Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Matty J Plays. If you're new, welcome in. Today I'm going to do a shortish. I try to keep my videos short, but they sometimes spiral out of control. And I've had feedback on this. Thank you, Alex and Demon Baller. But yes, I will be trying to today explain fit-ins. And I think it can become a nightmare for some people, the fit-ins in this game. There's a lot of them, there's a lot to understand, there's a lot to play around with. So I will try to dumb it down a little, tell you what I'm doing with my fit-ins, but please, as always, this is just me, my views. Feel free to play the game your way. Heck, don't even use them if you don't need to, but I would highly recommend at least dabbling in the fit-ins and seeing what's what. So, to start our journey on fit-ins, you'll notice I'm in the archetype screen. Now, I'm not going to take you through all these. There's plenty out there that does. By this point in the game, you have picked your archetype. My archetype is Rhythm. But these archetypes really are the driver for where you want to put your fit-ins, and depending on how you want to build out your character. So I'm just going to take you through each of these, because each of these will marry to a fit-in. So let's go through them. So you will get power fit-ins. As you know from your archetype, this is the maximum carry distance you can hit your club, and spin of each shot. Now, I'm assuming in the game, because I've increased my power quite a bit, when I started playing as a Rhythm archetype with low power, the ball wasn't rolling much. The ball is rolling a lot more now. So I don't know if power is a big thing for me, but I will talk you through that in a bit. Power fit-ins will have a lightning bolt through them, as you can see in the background. Timing, this for me is the big one in the game. In old money, if you play 2K21, this is your forgiveness stat for the clubs. Yeah, so this is huge. You get a little kind of scale in the background, or whatever that thing is, in the background. So that is the picture for that. Timing is huge for me, which is why I selected Rhythm. Swing path, again, is another big one, especially having played 2K23. It wasn't so much in 21, but my swing line is atrocious. I find it hard to hit a straight swing line. So swing path is obviously your swing plane in 2K21 in old money. Transition, this is the circular one. This is an interesting one. A lot of people have been attributing this to the forgiveness window for the perfects. It is not. This is actually, in old money, your distance control stat in 2K21. So for those of you playing this with the distance control meter on, when you swing up, there's a white bar to hit the 100% at the top. This will scale that. So this is basically how often you can hit your 100% power as you want it, which is why, and makes sense, this stat usually goes in tandem with the power stat. So if you pick the powerhouse, you'll have power and transition quite high. So that's my understanding of it. It's distance control. It's not your forgiveness, which a lot of people have attributed to. That is purely under timing. Shaping, again, this is shot shaping, so how much draw, fade and spin you can put on the ball. So if you use that, great. If you don't bother. Lie range, this is a new stat to 2K23, and what this does is scales. So at the minute, if you land in a rough, it might say you can hit between 50 and 65% out of this rough. This scales that, so the higher the stat, the lesser percentage you get, to the point where it tells you exactly what your percentage is in the rough. Given this game seems to pay a lot to lie ranges, a lot more than 21 did anyway, certainly in bunkers and things, might be a useful one. I've not experimented too much with it as yet. The two final ones are your putt path, which again in 2K21 would have been your swing plane. In this one, they separated it out from your swing path and called it your putt path, giving it a separate stat for your putter. And your putt weight, again, is the same as transition. So that is hitting the target putt weight, so the window of the white when you pull back. So if you've got the little power bar at the bottom of your screen, that window will get bigger the more you increase that. So the last thing I want to touch on the archetypes. I think anyone you pick is great. Anyone will get into that. You can add fit-ins too. So whatever you selected, this video will be great for you. You don't have to be Rhythm. I'm just going to talk you through it. The only archetype I would say no need to bother with is Greensman, and we'll get onto that when we look into the fit-ins. So let's go into the locker room. Let's go into the fit-ins. and let's get started. So before we actually go in there, because I did see some questions on some of the channels in some of the Facebook groups I'm a member of, does changing the appearance of your driver, wood, whatever club you're using, change the fittings? No, it does not. So if you want to change the appearance for your driver to any of the ones you have in your bag, you can. It does not remove fittings, or you don't need to add fittings. So that should answer that question. Now onto the fittings. So the fittings come in five categories, starting off at the lowest, which is grey, moving through to green, to blue, to purple, and to red. Red are classed as legendary fittings. Obviously, the higher up you go, the better the fittings are, as you can see as you transition through them. Grey, they're both +4. The greens are from 3 to a 6. The blues start around 6, 7s, and 8s. Up to I think a maximum of a 9 on a blue, and then these start from kind of 8, 9, 10s, all the way up to I think I've got a 12 in here somewhere. Maybe not. I thought I had a 10. Maybe 10's the most, but then obviously the legendary ones can go up. I think as far as 15. I've not seen one. I've got a couple of 12s. Never seen a 15. So they're your categories of fittings. You will only earn these through playing the game, gaining XP, and building up your character, and at the end of every round you will receive an item from the game, and if you're lucky enough it'll be a fitting. You might get balls, etc, etc. Can be unlocked through sponsors as well, and through rivals. So they're available mainly through career mode, and just through playing the game. Play any round, you'll get an item at the end, and just hope it's a fitting, because for me fittings are the biggest part of your game. When you have enough fittings, let's keep talking about the fittings. So the fittings come, and this is why I went into the archetype first, they will come with the symbol of the archetype and tell you what they are. So this one will add power, this one will add transition or distance control, this one is your timing or your forgiveness in old money, that's your swing path or your swing plane in old money. So that is pretty much where all the fittings, and this one is your lie range, which wasn't on the old game. You'll then have separate ones for putter, so you'll have putt path, and I think there's a putt weight somewhere as well in here. There it is, putt weight. So the seven different skills in your archetype map to the fittings. Makes sense, right? So if you pick an archetype for rhythm and you want to max out your timing and swing path, you might put on a swing path and a timing fitting, as you can see I have done here. Great, perfect. So the next part is really up to you guys. So you've played the game, you've got yourself some fittings, happy days. I've now explained how they translate to your archetype, and then it's like, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to play this game? So the archetype you chose might be the way you want to play the game. I picked rhythm because straight off the bat I knew I wanted better timing of my club, and I think that's kind of a big part for me, is the perfect swings and a better swing plane. That's why I picked it, but also I know that has low transition and low power. So I know through attaching transition and power fittings I can improve my transition and power on my clubs. Happy days, but I also don't want to lose my timing or swing path. So the way I'm doing it, and there's probably three approaches to this. I think some people are trying to max out their archetype's primary skills. So people go in as a rhythm and they will try to get swing planes and timings all the way up to 100 and max out that skill for their club, and then whatever else is superfluous to it. You have other people who actually will look to bring up the lesser values, so they might put a load of power ones on while keeping the rhythm archetype. Bear in mind, and we'll come to this in a minute, some of the fittings will have a negative impact on some other stats, so you just got to bear that in mind when you're playing around with them. And the third way, and it's the way I'm trying to do my fittings, is to try and get a balance. Obviously the two I started with are going to be the highest two, but try to balance my clubs so they have a nice overall feel to them. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I go into my driver, obviously I started off with timing and swing path in the rhythm archetype as my highest two, and power I think was down in 60. Now with the fittings I've put on my driver, you can see I've managed to kind of round out most of my stats to the 80s, with transition and lie range being the lowest two, and that's because I don't particularly plan on hitting a driver from a rough or even a fairway too often. So lie range is absolutely superfluous to requirements on a driver for me. It just so happens a couple of my fittings improved it. And transition or distance control, I've never been too bad at hitting 100, 101%. So I wasn't really prioritizing that. So if you look at my driver stats now, I have 80 on power, 83 on timing, 84 on swing path, and 81 on shaping. And my driver at the minute feels like my most well-rounded club in my bag. It's the one I hit consistently perfect. On the driver, you will see, and this is my loadout, I have 2 power ones and a timing one. So that was to get my power up. Now, if I talk you through, when you look at the fitting, so I've got a driver head fitting on here for power plus 12. So my power will go up by 12. It does what it says, power plus 12. These legendary fittings will also have secondary and sometimes tertiary stats that they will increase. So if you look here, power goes up by 12, shaping goes up by 9, and transition by 6. But as a cost of that, my timing will be hit by 4 and my lie range by 1. So it's not too detrimental to my loadout. And if we look at this power one that I've got on my shaft, again, the power's up by 10, transition by 9. And again, guys, what you'll notice is power and transition go hand in hand. Timing and swing path tend to go hand in hand. Shaping and lie range tend to go hand in hand. Sometimes they flip them a little bit. I've seen it where timing and power can go hand in hand. So it all depends. It's all luck. There's no way I can tell you how to get this power plus 12. There's no set way I can tell you to get it. You just have to get lucky in what the game gives you. And that's the beauty of it, and also the annoyance of it. But there are ways you can manipulate it, which I'll talk about later. So there's a lot, right? So when I started the game, every single fitting, I was like, right, let's put it on, quick, put it on. I kind of wish I could have gone back and said, because that costs you money, and we'll come on to that. So load of fitting up costs you money. So if I wanted to put this fitting on, for example, quick fit, it'll cost me 150 credits. Now that's fine on the driver, but when you come to your irons, where you've got multiple of them, to put this legendary fitting on my driver now, it would cost me, and I will come on to this in a bit more detail, 900 credit. So it's a lot of money. So at the start, I would suggest putting some on to help you out. Certainly if you get red and purple ones, definitely chuck them on, and the blue ones, they're pretty good. But there is an exchange method as well that we'll come on to in this game. So saving some up and then exchanging them without actually attaching them is also a good plan, because you end up just wasting money attaching them and exchanging them later on. So my loadout is trying to find balance. Yeah, that's how I've decided to play the game. I will try and get as much around the 80 to 85 mark as I can. And I'm looking at specifically attaching a timing or swing path, at least one, and at least one power. And then the third one will be whatever balances my clubs the best. So there'll be a power one added, which normally has power and transition. There'll be a timing one added. This is for the rhythm archetype. If you're a different archetype, say if you're a power archetype, you might obviously pick to add a timing one or a swing path one, and then maybe a lie range. So you can mix it up yourself. But certainly balance for me is my favorite way to go, and to see how close I can get to 99s. Obviously at some point I hope to change these purple ones to red ones and see how that affects my stats. So if we go across into, let's say, my irons, you can see my balance is a little off, my power is still pretty low, and wedges is probably even worse. My power is way off, but my timing is up in the 100%. So there's no point adding any more timing. And I've seen people, and this has got 2 timing and a shaping one on, but I've seen people put on 3 timings on their clubs. Once you get 100%, guys, you can't go over 100%. No matter how much timing you put on there, there's no need to go wild in the aisles on a specific stat. So I highly anticipate, I just don't have any legendary ones here, that again, I will swap one of these out for a power one to bring the imbalance in my bag back up. I will try and get a swing path one probably as well, because my swing path is quite low, and then that will have a detrimental impact, no doubt, on my timing, but I don't mind that, because I don't need 100%. You know, 90 is good enough, really. If you see from my driver, I'm hitting at 100% every time, and I'm at 83. So look, it's up to you guys, right? Figure out your build. Hopefully I've explained to you what each of these little things mean. And if I just hover, so once you've got them attached, if I move on to a new one, the middle of the screen tells you what that fitting does. Yeah, so that's its power. It takes 2 off your power, puts 9 on your timing. The right hand side of the screen, and this is where people get confused, is its actual effect once you put it on your club. And the reason this isn't power -2, it's -6, is because on the head of my wedge already, I have a power +4. So this fitting attached to my head is a +4 power. If I put this fitting onto my head, which is a -2, I will also lose the 4 from there. Hence, it's power -6. Complicated as shit maths. You don't need to do it. The game does it. But it basically says, look, Matt, if you want to put this wedge head on, your power's going to drop by 6. Your timing's going to go up by 6. Your swing path's going to go up by 12. Your transition down by 12. Your shaping down by 9. Your lie range up by 9. So always focus on the right hand side of your screen when you're applying fittings. I tend to apply my fittings to all clubs. So if you use triangle in here, it takes you through your clubs and show you what fittings you have on them. If I was to apply this one, go to quick fit. In here, the ones with the little kind of what looks like a half clock or tap, they're in your bag. So if you press triangle, it'll select all your equipped anyway, or you can click them on and off yourself. You want to pick everything that's equipped for you, in my view, to put it on all the clubs, so all the clubs play the same. But again, buyer's choice. If you want to just say, actually, I just want to put a bit more on my sand wedge or my lob wedge, that's the only club I'm going to increase the power on, or whatever it is you're looking to increase, or the timing on us and swing path as per this stat, then that's what you do. So I would highly recommend doing it as a set, but be careful when doing that. There is pitfalls. So when you go on to the hybrids, it always starts you off on a 3 hybrid. I only have 1 hybrid in my bag, and that's a 5. And if it always starts with a 3, so you can see in the top right, I'm in a 3 hybrid. There's my 5 hybrid, but it always starts you here. And if I think, oh, I want to put that on my 5, select quick fit. This is a break in the game. Select equipped. It doesn't unselect the hybrid because that's the one I went in on. So you can see it's still ticked, even though I said select equipped clubs. Clearly a fault with the game. But you can see the only one in my bag, which is highlighted by, I'm assuming that's a little golf bag. Yeah, it's a little golf bag. It's a little golf bag by it. Looks weird, looks like half a clock, but it's a golf bag. Half a stopwatch. So it hasn't unselected that. So don't fall into my trap, which I did, because as you can see, I have fittings on a 3 hybrid and never used one. Just don't fall into that trap. So there, quick fit, select equipped, unselect the one you're on if that's not what you want. Okay, so that's one of the little pitfalls. Sorry, I just jumped out of fittings. So that's that's the archetype, that's your options, that's your build out. As I've said, you can fit these to clubs. When you're looking to fit them on the club, you will have head, shaft and grip, as I've discussed. So you can fit into 3 pieces of a club. If you look at the putter, and this is why I said avoid the putter archetype because there's no need, you only have 2 skill sets in putter, which is your putt path and your putt weight, and you can have 3 fittings. So I've got 3 fittings on here, each of them adding positive to my putt path and weight. So I'm already up to 94 for putt path and 73 for weight. If I put more weight ones on over the putt path ones, I can probably balance that a bit better. But given you can add 3 fittings to it, there's no need to start off with a putter archetype because it's the one you can easily manipulate up no matter what you do. All the rest, it's up to you how you want to play it, how you want to put them on, etc, etc. As I said, my loadout is looking to have a power, a timing / swing path, and then possibly a transition on each club. So let's go ahead and show you how I'd put something on, shall we? So let's load out. I don't particularly want to mess with my driver, so let's put this on my iron. So I haven't got legendary fitting yet on my iron. This is going to replace this, which is on my shaft. probably mess with my balance a little bit. So let's put it on. If you notice, by putting it on, I'm losing transition and I'm losing lie range. So quick fit. Select all equipped. It's going to cost me a lot of money. Purchase 900 of your credits to do. Confirm. That's now on all my clubs if I go through them. This also randomly looks like it's applied it to the 3 iron and 4 iron, which is a little bit annoying. Probably cost me a little bit extra money. So now that's brought my stats in line with how I want them. I have lost a little bit of power, so I think what I'm going to do is, for the head, I don't mind my power dropping down, but I want my timing to go back up. And I think I want my transition to go back up. So I'm going to, I think, remove this green level one and apply this one. So again, accept, quit fit. Now I'm not picking a 3 iron there. So that's interesting. Purchase 6, confirm. And there we go. So that's how you do it. That's how you manipulate it. Now my irons have 66 for power, which again isn't great, but I don't have a power yet on here. So at some point I'll be looking to get a power fitting on here. I have two swing paths, as you can see, and 1 transition. Ideally, I'd like a swing path, a timing, and a power. So that'll come, although my timing is already massive, 95, and my swing path 91, because timing and swing path, as I said, go hand in hand, and both these up my stats. So I will trade one out for a power one at some point. So that's how you attach them. That's relatively simple. Now I'll just show you very, very quickly before I end the video how to exchange them. So I have, what have I got, three green ones here that aren't in use. So the ones in use have a tick by them, as you can see. I have 3 green ones that aren't in use. So let's go and select, you pick exchange. I will then pick the other ones that aren't in use, which is that one and that one. Then when you're in this exchange screen, you have 2 options. You can either exchange for another green of your choosing. So I can say, right, I want a green power one on my wedges. Thank you very much, and it'll do that. Or you could upgrade to the next level up. So I would recommend everything lower, keep upgrading, and then only start exchanging when you get the red legendary fittings. So let's do it. Let's go ahead and upgrade. You hold down square to upgrade. I will get a blue one. It is an iron transition shaft +8. There we go. If I go to my irons, I've already got one on, iron transition shaft +8. So again, I will trade that up at a later date. So that's your trading and exchanging. And I think that's pretty much it. So look, it's complicated, right? I get it. The game has overcomplicated it. But if you keep it simple, you can have 3 per club. Yeah, 3 per club. Try to balance them against your archetype if you want to play the way I'm playing, or overpower certain skills if you want to play the overpowered way. That is completely up to you, however you want to build your guy out. But please drop me a comment, ask me any questions you want. I am here to help, and I will catch you next time when I'll be probably starting my next career mode in Master difficulty. Chat soon.